Our first person brings us here to Delaware State University in Dover, where we have the pleasure of speaking with Candy Young, DSU's new athletic director. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much.
You know, first female athletic director ever here at DSU. How does that feel?
My three-letter word has been wow. Just to be part of the history of this institution is incredible. Delaware State, being an HBCU, is an environment that I have been able to embrace over the last 6 years. So to reach almost the top of the pinnacle in athletics is incredible.
You've been here in the post for about a month now, and tell me, what have you been doing to prepare for the athletic year? What have your job duties entailed so far?
So far, meetings. I think it's so important that you establish relationships with your campus community as well as your outside community. So I have been spending a lot of time in meetings, meeting with my coaches so that we understand the level of expectation, meeting with my administrators so that we're all clear, we're all on the same page. As we all know, being fiscal is very important during these times. So just making sure that everyone is on the same page so that we can get out to a great and exciting year of athletics here at Delaware State University.
I'm sure as you've been assessing kind of the overall athletic program. Describe for me, if you were a doctor, the health of DSU's athletic program.
You know, it's so many different groups because we have 18 programs here that we're working with, and you have some programs when it comes to winning, they're on the pinnacle, they're like right there, ready to be conference champs, and then you have some teams that we're still building up to get to that point. So you look at that from an athletic standpoint and you're like, well, there's some work to do, but we want to celebrate those who are doing really well, but then there's also those who you're trying to bring up to that next level. So the feeling is always mixed, and that continues. Academically, we're doing well, but I would like to see us do better. We had over 120 scholars, and that's student athletes who are over 3.0 this year. So on the academic side, I believe that as a department, we're doing well, but we can do better.
So if we were to break it down, what's working, what's not working, maybe academics needs a little work.
Academics needs a little work.
Okay.
Athletics needs a lot of work.
Any ideas already?
Well, you
out of the
know,
gate?
one of the things that we want to do is make our football games more exciting. So we're going to put together something called Hornet Hype. It's a pre-party. It's like a day party before everyone comes over and enjoys the game. So we're putting together just fun things to invite people back. We want our alumni to come back, take a look at athletics again. Come take a look at us again, and I think they'll be impressed with the type of students that we have, because they work really hard to perform well.
And I think the fact that DSU is now playing, you know, University of Delaware, we have that in-state rivalry, a little more exposure. Is Hornet Hype one part of how you're trying to make DSU's athletic program a little more competitive?
Yes, making our teams competitive, I think, is important. It's good for our students because in life you're going to find competition. Things are not going to be handed to you. So we are in a position where we're able to teach them life skills through athletics. The exposure with the UD game is always good to have an in-state rivalry. I'm from the Pittsburgh area, so when Pittsburgh and Philly play, sorry Philly fans, I'm huge for the Steelers. I'm big on the Steelers, born and raised in Steeler country, so I'm sorry guys, that's who I am. But I think that friendly rival just really helps the states come together, and it's fun. And when I'm not cheering for the Steelers, yes, I am cheering for Philadelphia, and I think it's the same. When UD is doing well, we are excited about UD because we still take ownership of that institution.
Right, right. So any other ways to try to make it more competitive here, in addition to some exposure and working on the teams?
Well, I believe the exposure is important. I think being involved with our communities, you know, not only here in the Dover area, but also in the Newark and the Wilmington area, not only exposure through sports, but just community service projects. So we definitely want to be more involved with the whole state because we are, you know, we only have a few colleges here within the state. It's such a small state, but it's a state that we can be very visible and very active. So not only through our athletics, through our community service, even through our academics, we want the people of Delaware to know that we're here and that we are a viable part of this community. And we're not going anywhere. We've been here for a long time.
Now, before you were athletic director, you've had a history here at DSU. And so you know that in a couple of years ago, there was a lot of Title IX drama here on campus. And obviously that's the gender equity provisions, and that relates to sports. So with respect to Title IX, how do you as athletic director decide what sports to fund, what sports to cut? How do you balance all of that?
You're right. I was here during a time, I was acting athletic director at one point in time, and we had to cut a few male programs. It's never, ever a good thing when you have to release a program because it can be very emotional. Most of the times those cuts are due to funding. With Title IX and celebrating the 40th year of Title IX, I am an example of Title IX. So we do understand the impact. This university does understand the impact of Title IX, and we will stay, do all that we can to stay within those realms. But again, with fiscal cuts and monies not being available, we have to really look at the sports that we bring on board and make sure that we can be effective in those sports. So it's not easy. You're absolutely right. It's just like having children, and it's like, well, whose soccer game do I go to versus whose basketball game can I go to when they're on the same day, So I think the best way to work through Title IX is everybody has to be a part of it. Everybody has to understand Title IX. It's not male versus female, it's equal opportunities for both genders, and that's what we have to do.
Cutting the equestrian team, though, that was an issue. As a former female athlete, you can you bring a different perspective to the table.
Yes.
What would you say that as the athletic director, what would you tell people out there that you can bring that maybe another athletic director might not bring?
Well, I can tell you for this, when we are out there and we're looking for quality people to work at our university, we look for, as I said, quality people first. And then we look for people who may strengthen our gender side. So if we have a lot of male coaches, we may look to see more female coaches coming on board. But first of all, we always find the best person for our student athletes. And then we begin to look at those issues. We also have added 2 female sports. We now have lacrosse on board and women's golf. And they start this season, so we're really excited about getting them off the ground. And we've hired 2 female coaches with lacrosse. We do have a golf coach who is a male, and we're good with that because he knows what he's talking about. So we have a lot of energy going on right now at Delaware State Athletics, a lot of excitement, a lot of we have a brand new women's basketball team. Not only, when I say team, I mean coaching staff team. All of our people on there are brand new, and it's exciting. There's 4 women on that staff and 1 male on that staff, so there's a lot of changes, a lot of positive changes, and changes that do demonstrate that we are conscious of our gender equity choices.
You're a former Olympian.
Yes.
World record holder. Did you watch the Olympics?
Yes, I did. Oh, my son and I had a ball watching the games. It's just phenomenal. Amazing.
And your kids know your accomplishments.
My children tease me because every now and then when we start talking about the accomplishments, they're like, okay, here we go. It's about you again. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
And the points that I prove with my own natural children is how to be focused, how to name what you want in life and then go after it. And that's the lesson that I want to teach here while I'm at Delaware State University, not only with our student athletes, but also with my professionals, the people that I'm supervising, my staff. It's my job as their leader to prepare them for that next job. And some of those want to be athletic directors, so it's my job to teach them how to be effective. And they're watching me.
Okay, well, Candy Young, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Great meeting you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And you can watch this entire interview with Candy Young in its entirety on our website, www.newsworks.org/Delaware.